Hello everybody, welcome to Module 5. In this module, we're going to be focusing on helping set up peer tutoring systems, supporting instructional assistants or paraprofessionals, looking at curriculum-based instruction, vocational, and some transdisciplinary service schedule issues. We'll also be talking a little bit about student records, how we can work with other agencies, and some of the related paperwork that's required for the transition process. We'll also be looking at some specific strategies we can use to both prevent and respond to incidents of bullying and abuse that might happen with our students with disabilities in the secondary years. Your advanced organizer walks you through several great resources, and one of those resources that we want to specifically point out is the resource about guardianship. So I mentioned in an earlier module my son Dan, and Dan just recently reached the age of 18. Because of Dan's significant intellectual disability and his diagnosis of autism, which includes the fact that Dan is considered nonverbal or pre-verbal, depending on the language you would like to use, we are required to work through the guardianship process. And that guardianship process extends the rights of parents. All parents or guardians have rights over their children from up until the age of 18. Once children turn 18, then they're considered legal adults. Since Dan is not considered able to make decisions of adulthood independently, guardianship is required. And that guardianship process is very lengthy and also involves documentation from a psychologist or psychiatrist, from a physician, and it requires you to go through the state attorney, or no, I'm sorry, not the state attorney, the local attorney that covers your jurisdiction. So we're in Campbell County, so we had to go to the Campbell County Courthouse, work with the attorney for the county, and he filed petitions and motions for us to obtain guardianship. We had to go over to the courthouse and file a $65 brief and received emergency guardianship while Dan's case is working its way through the court system. That process has been in place for 4 months, and we are still waiting for our court date. So it's not an instant process. So what would happen if we didn't have emergency guardianship? If Dan had any illness, he would not be able to receive treatment because he doesn't have a legal guardian, or at least not, it would not be able to be authorized by my husband and I because we would not be his legal guardians. So the state would be required to step in and make those decisions. If we didn't have guardianship or emergency guardianship of Dan, we wouldn't be able to participate in his IEP meetings, to make any educational decisions, to make any financial decisions. So that guardianship is crucial for all parts of Dan's life as an adult with a significant intellectual disability. We were really pleased in that process that when we went to start the process, they were very careful about asking questions. Why do you want guardianship of your child? Explain to me the process, show me your paperwork. They were very careful at looking through our documentation, even at an entry level, to make sure that Dan was appropriate for guardianship. So that's good that they're protecting the rights of students with disabilities to ensure that students that are able to make decisions for themselves have that right and power. So carefully, I hope you will work through the module of Module 5 Advanced Organizer. Save that for your own records, and then when you're ready to demonstrate your learning, go ahead and take the quiz for this module. In this module, you'll also be completing a lesson plan, and that lesson plan is going to focus on helping a student with a disability acquire a specific skill related to transition. I've given you several options here of things to consider. Things that we do as adults, like being able to order food in a restaurant, order an item online, apply for a job, follow a recipe, make a shopping list. Anything that you know that is crucial for a student to have as an adult, and that's a skill that we would need to specifically teach many of our students. So you'll use the lesson plan form that's here and fill that out. There's also a detailed rubric that walks you through what's expected of this assignment. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to reading about which skill you plan to teach and how you plan to teach it. We're starting a new discussion board, and in this discussion board, we're going to start talking about building peer networks. We know it's a crucial thing for us all to make and have friends, and we know that many students with disabilities need support in that area. So let's chat and really share ideas about how we can do that, what supports we have in our own individual schools, what we see out in our communities. I'm going to be looking at Kentucky Best Buddies and Kentucky Peer Buddies to see what's currently out there and how we can implement that in our own schools. I'm just really looking forward to this discussion. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Make sure you're checking your grades and letting me know if you've got questions about those. If you've got general questions, make sure you're asking them in the Questions Ask Here board. I'm looking forward to working with you this module.